what techniques should they start implementing? What would you recommend? Like, let's go from like first commit to pushing to production. What do you think?
I would even start before the first commit. So I've been pushing this kind of idea and this paradigm of invariant-driven development, where kind of like the end goal for especially for smart contract is for the team that are building smart contract to know their invariant. So invariant are facts about the code base that should remain true. It's used a lot when you are doing fuzzing or when you are doing formal verification, but it's not just for fuzzing and formal verification. And what I mean by that is that if before even writing your first line of code, before kind of like going into the implementation of your code base, you know what are the main invariants, you know how you're going to test them, you know how you're going to document them, how you're going to maintain like a sync between your documentation and your code. You are going to be ahead of the curve, because once you understand what are your invariants, you can design even the code base in a way that makes it easier to track them. A good example of that is Uniswap with the K invariant, right? Because they know the invariant ahead of time. It's not like an afterthought. It's something that it's core of the design of the protocol. They have designed a protocol which rely on that. And just because of that, because of this kind of mindset of having that invariant, the code base is in a better state than it would be if it was like something they would have at the last commit or whatever, like, oh, we can add this invariant, we can do fuzzing. No, actually, if you know from before writing any line of code, you can just design everything around that. So it's really about designing and defining your invariant, iterating over them through the development. So once you start writing a couple of, line of code, a couple of components, you can then, you can start by writing obviously a couple of tests. Once you have some kind of like skeleton of your code base, you can start using things like fuzzing. The earliest you start with type of technique, the better you will get. But obviously, as a developer, you also have like a lot of deadline. You have like you have like a constraint resource. So depending on how much time you can spend, it's going to depend on where you want to start. You don't want to start to use like fuzzing and formal method at the end of the development, because usually it's a bit too late to help you, to guide you through like the different kind of like code composition and how you structure the code to make it easier to fuzz or to use formal method. So if you can do that probably halfway at least, it would be beneficial. But if you start again early on, before any line of code, when you are designing the protocol, to think about security and to think about invariant, you are going to be ahead of the industry basically.